Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me this afternoon for the ultimate electric shootout. We have two Teslas and my Taycan Turbo S. We've got the Model S performance with the new Cheetah mode, the Model X performance with the same, and we're going to be going for a bit of a drive here down the runway to see how they stack up against one another. Firstly, the two Teslas, and the winner stays on against the Taycan. A quick interlude before we get to the races, because this was fascinating in a way I hadn't previously intended. Now, coming only a couple of days into my ownership of the Porsche Taycan, my first EV, there were things that I didn't properly explain or talk about in the video, which give a bit of context, which is really intriguing. Now, we had gone up to the runway, having driven there, done a quick top up with the car before we got to the runway, but when we arrived and we did some test runs, we set out the cones, we got everything up and running, and then did some head-to-head races with the McLaren Senna. That meant we were quickly getting through the charge of the battery. Now, I hadn't really considered how much difference it would make from a full charge to an empty charge until I recently saw a video from my friend Brooks Drag Times, who went to a proper setup drag strip with both the Model S and a Taycan Turbo S at full 100%, having trucked both cars up. But what's going to be interesting about this is perhaps the real world nature of it, because by this point we were down on the Taycan at the start of the first race with the Teslas to just 36% of battery. The Model S had 75%, the Model X had 70% because the guys had just arrived, had turned up, and we had been using the Taycan for all sorts. Now, I hadn't given proper account for how much slower the car would run as a result of having only 36% of battery, but I'll touch more on this as we go through the video. I'd like to show you though what happens, so let's head back to the runway. To give you a few numbers about these cars, and yes, we have seen some tests before, but this is quite real world. The cars are all in their state from being driven on the road, the ground is slightly damp, and it's going to be a bit of a shootout between them to see exactly how they stack up. So the Model S performance, previously the P100D with Ludicrous Plus of course, and that means the Cheetah stance, which basically adjusts the suspension, gives it even more power, so we're talking about 785 horsepower and just shy of 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Obviously the same effective powertrain between the Model S and the Model X, both with all of the latest updates right now. But this car, 2,245 kilos, the Model X, 2,487, so sitting in the middle at 2,295 kilos, we have the Taycan. The Turbo S, similarly, two electric motors, four-wheel drive as a result, torque vectoring. We have 760 horsepower with overboost and 1,050 Newton meters, but Porsche's two-geared gearbox effectively. There's been a small change of plan. We are going to run the three EVs all side by side in just a moment. Firstly though, we will have the two Teslas as a test run for the guys, so they will engage their Cheetah stance, which is awesome to watch. We'll give them a count in to get it all set up. So let's count them in, get ready to do this, and we will see as the cars engage the right settings, the way they completely sit down. Watch this. Holds it on the brakes, tucks down to the ground, and off they go, flying through the wind. One would assume the Model S is in front, we will see. And then heavy on the brakes, off into the fog. As you can see, getting towards the end of the day, winter time after all, and a particularly foggy afternoon. Slightly damp conditions, but still not breaking a sweat, pulling away from the line. So we've also seen recently with the Taycan, but now it is going to be time to get set up in here, get the cameras rigged, come up to the car, get this started very quickly so it can warm up if required. Literally just touch the brake. That's completely off at the moment. Give it a press to wake it up. Everything comes into life. What do we have? So we've got 36% of battery. We need to watch out for that, but it does look warm. If you put it in Sport Plus, it makes sure that it's heating up as quickly as possible. And in here, we've got the V-Box system as well to measure the data and record exactly how it's performing. The light is quickly dropping, but we are now lined up. I'm bang in the center. The cars are all making sure that they are heated up properly. Inside here, I need to engage my brain, make sure we're in Sport Plus. Everything is correct. Optimum power. We're going to have our overdrive. Model X, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Model S, are you ready?
I'm ready.
So then, to make sure all the cars have enough time to prepare, we will have a count in from 10 if you don't mind. So, let's get ready to do this. We'll have a couple of runs. First up then, all three cars together, let's go. Okay then.
10, 9,
So,
8,
I've got a bit of
7,
time. compose oneself.
5, 4, 3,
Now,
2, 1, go.
go. Oh wow, the Tesla was slightly ahead of me. The Model S with Cheetah is slightly ahead, but here we go, I'm coming through. Oh, this is down to how long it is. I've just pipped it. Photo finish. Photo finish there. Wow! Oh wow, that was incredible. That was awesome, guys. That was very close.
Great run. I think the weight of the Model X was going against me there.
To be fair, that's a pretty reasonable excuse when compared to these two.
10, 9,
Okay,
8,
we're going straight
7,
away again.
6,
On the
5,
hold.
4, 3, 2,
Awaiting.
1, go.
Go! Oh, I was slightly behind. The Model S and the Model X are so quick off the line. But I'm not going to catch this time. So, run 2 to the Model S. Do you know what? These are so close. And like I said, entirely real world circumstances at the moment. All the cars are set up in their configurations that each owner is driving them. Road tyre pressures, software, latest software on all of the cars, only got 32% of battery. An interesting thing for me is that I'm way slower than I was earlier, which I probably put down to the tarmac in the centre. And I'd be quite interested to swap around if that's possible. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Of course, it was because of the battery. At this stage, at 32%. Now, I don't know exactly where in the charge range the car starts backing off, but clearly by now, it's running significantly slower than we were getting with the runs against the Senna earlier in the day. In fact, we had the data from the V-Box that was showing that. I couldn't properly take it all in while I was driving, obviously hard to see with the brightness of the screen against the dark falling outside, and trying to do all of the runs in a rush, but quite clearly, battery charge had a much bigger impact than I had considered. Small change of plan. Given we're battling against the light, it's going to be Model S versus Taycan. The Model X, which wants a little break because it's been doing quite a few runs, is just stepping back for the moment. So, Model S, are you ready? Got the thumbs up. All right then, count us in from 10. Okay.
In 10, 9,
Whew.
8,
This is the big
7,
one.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go. Oh, away, bang against one another. The Model S pulls ahead though. The Model S pulls ahead from the off. But now I'm starting to claw it back in. But the Model S won. The Model S won. The Model S with Cheetah stance beat the Taycan Turbo S. Wow, I think we need to swap around and do them on the other sides. But yeah, that's what happened in these temperatures. Cool, that thing's fast. The way it just anchors and goes straight away at the beginning, you just see it sitting down, tucking down, and just off it goes. Right, this time, let's see what happens. I don't really know which way this is going to go. Interestingly, earlier I was getting faster quarter miles. Getting lined up evenly. I was getting faster quarter mile times than I am now by about a third to a half of a second. Well, obviously, now we were running about 30% of charge in the Taycan, and the fastest quarter mile time I had clocked on the V-Box during the day was 10.88 seconds, so about a third of a second faster, 0.29 to be precise, which clearly, given how neck on neck it was, would have been the difference between which car came out ahead. Now, I don't know if they had both been on around 65-70% which way it would go, but this is where I found Brooks's video fascinating as well, to see both of the cars on 100%. Okay.
In 10, 9,
Right.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, we're off. Oh, I felt the torque there a lot. It picked up. I think I wasn't in launch. The Model S was ahead. The Model S had it. The Model S had it. Interesting, really, really interesting. I thought that this was going to be quicker. I did think that this car was going to be quicker, but in more runs, the Model S came out in front. We had 11.17 on the quarter mile, so only about 0.2, 0.3 behind what I had been achieving. A longer run, this would have had it, so on the Autobahn, I guess maybe one day getting to drive them back to back on the Nürburgring. How cool would that be? To see which would be victorious in terms of, I guess in terms of experience. Or just on another track day where you can time and put together some laps. Anyway, that was really intriguing. It's clearly right at the end of the day, so we'll start to have to wrap things up. We could not really have held out any later. It is now far too dark to keep driving on the runway, but what an experience to see the three ultimate electric cars really going up against one another. A big battle between the Taycan Turbo S and the Model S with Cheetah stance at the quarter mile at least. As we've tested it today, the victor is indeed the Tesla Model S. Fascinating to see how that played out between the two cars. Might be one to try again in other conditions in the future, especially when I know a little bit more about this. I've only owned it for a very short period of time so far, but today at least a big thanks to my friends who've come along with their Teslas, so we had this opportunity to see how the cars would perform up against one another. Like I say though, too dark now, end of the day, very cold, but really, really intriguing. Well, there we go. I hope that was as fascinating for you as it was for me. A huge learning experience about EVs and about the difference that it makes depending on the percentage charge. I do want to say that the Cheetah stance from the Tesla, from the Model S, the way it anchors down and just gets off the line instantly is incredible to see and to witness. Of course, on a prepped surface, it's a different story. The Taycan can almost match it, but as we discovered on the runway, we weren't quite getting that instant go in exactly the same way the Tesla could achieve. On the longer stretch, beyond a quarter mile, it would only go one way. Even at the lower state of charge, the Taycan was pulling back and it was going to fly by, but as we had it, about 30% to about 70%, the Teslas were winning the quarter mile, or rather I should say the Model S was winning the quarter mile, which was really, really interesting to see. I had a lot of fun though, but this has told me we need to go back and do it again, preferably with both cars on an equal state of charge, if not at 100%, but of course it takes a lot of organising, a lot of planning, and not the easiest thing to pull off. But this is just the start of the battles ahead when it comes to EVs and when it comes to what they're going to be able to do, because the impressive performance from very heavy luxury saloon cars is already at a near match to some of the fastest supercars when it comes to a quarter mile drag race. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. A big thanks to my friends who brought up their cars and to the team who helped as well with the filming of the video, despite it being very cold and very dark towards the end of the day. So thanks as well for watching, guys, but that's it for this time. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!